10.1, Charter Standing Committee Update. John Henry High School Charter. This is an action item. The Charter Standing Committee met on March 3, 2020 to consider staff's recommendation to take no action to either approve or deny the John Henry High School Charter. Dr. Alleyne will provide the county board with an update on the discussion and recommendations. Okay.
Oh, Dr. Alleyne,
Hold on.
Sorry, never mind.
Dr. Alleyne will provide the county board with an update on the discussion and recommendations of the committee. Before she addresses the board, I would like to identify Mrs. Lauren Charneski, the attorney, there you are, at the end, an attorney from the law firms Dennis, Wolliver, Kelly, DWK, represents the County Office of Education on a number of legal matters, including charter schools, and is here tonight to answer questions from the board about the John Henry Charter School appeal. Ms. Charneski would, oh, you already identified yourself, following Dr. Alleyne's summary. Mr. Clark, would you provide a brief summary on the staff recommendations? Thank you. Following Mr. Clark, the board may wish to discuss the item. This is an action item. Dr. Alleyne, would you share your update, please?
Thank you, Board President. So the Charter Committee met, as you stated, on March 3rd to discuss the petition brought forth by John Henry. At the meeting, Deputy Superintendent Bill Clark shared the following concerns with the committee. First, he shared that there were multiple outstanding accusations of poor financial, academic, and operational performance. There were accusations of legal violations, financial fraud, or other non-compliance, including those related to special education services. Given that many of the board members, including Trustees Lewis, Butler, and I, have requested additional information on special education services, and there was a CDE letter regarding special education services, staff informed the committee that an investigation of this nature would take more than the time allowed by state law for charter reviews to be completed. The chair of the committee heard from members of the public, which is myself, including West Contra Costa Unified School District community members, members of John Henry community, and others before deliberating on a recommendation to bring forward to this board. The chair acknowledged that this is which is me, of course, acknowledge that this is a challenging situation for the board, as this impacts more than 300 students. After taking this into consideration, the accusations brought forth, including areas of governance and special education, possible violations of law, financial fraud, and the fact that the staff believes that they will not have sufficient time to complete the evaluation of these issues, and of petitioner's past performance as required by the California Code of Regulations, nor to complete evaluation as required by Education Code 47607 and 47605. The committee unanimously agreed to recommend that the board take no action.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clark?
Good evening, members of the board. As Dr. Alleyne has summarized, we have experience as a charter authorizer with experiences investigating similar kinds of claims in the past, and you will recall that many of these claims, some true and some not, required 6 months and longer to investigate and evaluate for us to make a proper determination about whether the claim was valid or not. Our concern is that we will not be able to provide the level of documentation and the support necessary to definitively establish whether some of these claims are true or not. There's some evidence to suggest there's truth to this, and there's some that suggest maybe there isn't. So the challenge is sorting through that information. We did provide the charter with a seven-page record request that specifically identifies all the areas of concern that have come to our attention. Typically what happens is they would provide source documents back to us, we would evaluate that and then explore that further with additional record requests, and then in some cases hire a specialist like a forensic auditor or someone to conduct interviews with particular individuals who might have been involved in some of the concerns to determine the truthfulness of the claims that have been made with the charter. Really our point is that we will not be able to provide the level of documentation that the county board is accustomed to in terms of being able to adequately resolve these questions before the expiration of the time period that's allowed for us to review the petition. This is our concern. We want to be objective and fair in our process, but find ourselves in a situation where we really feel that we cannot accomplish that in a proper manner. This is the basis of our request or our recommendation to the county board, and for the reason that we're asking that you take no action. We have evaluated, it does not terminate the charter. They still have an opportunity to appeal to the state board, and there may be some better options for them as far as clarification on some of these open issues.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item?
Yes.
I just wanted to make one follow-up statement. So on my way here, I spoke with someone from John Henry, and they stated that there was a request to allow a longer extension. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention. It was until April, but I guess we'll have that discussion after the public comment.
Thank you.
So, okay, I will call people up with 10 at a time. Please line up behind the podium according to the order in which your name was called. If you are out in the hallway or remote somewhere, each person has 2 minutes to comment, so you'll have time to get here. Gil Lopez.
Sorry, Michelle, can you speak to the microphone? We can't hear you.
So there's no microphone. Okay, Gil Lopez.
Michelle, how many do you have?
10 at a time.
Total. Do you know how many? 40. 4, okay.
Jeff Robinette. Sujin Kim. Edgar Quiros. Liam Dillon. Sylvia Flores. Brett Robbins. Nicholas Vaca. And Hurley Saravia. Sorry, and Lorena Cabrera is number 10.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, start? Okay. Once again, my name is Gil Lopez. Thank you very much for providing me the information earlier as well through email. Well, I'm very glad to hear that an unbiased, sounds like factual-based investigation or sets of investigations will be taking place with regard to the charter renewal. I was coming here prepared to talk about those certain types of investigations I've been involved in the past that have to be objective, unbiased, so on and so forth. I think we'll all get the gist of what I'm getting at. So I'm really happy to hear that, especially from Mr. Clark. I appreciate that. As I said before, about a month ago, when I spoke at the podium at the last location here in Contra, I am accustomed to unbiased investigations once again, and I was certainly hoping that would be the case. And the other thing I mentioned too is facts. The facts speak for themselves, specifically the performance of the school, John Henry High School, cannot be contested. I also, having said that, do not believe in coincidences. And that, by that I mean that it was interesting to me to find out that there were certain allegations being made at the 11th hour. I found that perplexing. Again, I don't really believe in coincidences. But be that as it may, again, to reiterate, I'm very happy to hear that there's an objective and full investigation that will be taking place. And I look forward to those results, which I'm sure will, in the end, work in favor of John Henry High School and its renewal. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Robinette, and I pretty much represent a trifecta when it comes to John Henry. My son is a student. I'm a proud parent, and I also live in the Ring Bay community. We've all heard a lot of stories about a lot of different things in regard to our school, but let me tell you briefly about our story. My wife and I, with our son's input, chose to take him out of a private school and put him into John Henry. The school's been more than we can hope for. Nurturing, teachers are attentive, and because of the hard work that our son put in and because of the school, our son currently has 5 college acceptance letters, including as far away as University of Hawaii, Hilo. While the school might not be perfect, it's relatively new. I'm sure you guys are all aware of that. But it's only going to improve, and it really does serve a purpose in our neighborhood. Like most parts of the Bay Area, our part of Richmond is becoming more and more a bedroom community. We've got a lot of new families moving in, and for that reason, it's just a matter of time before there is more diversity. But the fact that this black family is extremely happy with this school, and it lives up to all of our expectations. And making that choice to put our son in this school, we didn't take lightly. So please investigate this thoroughly. That's all we ask, is just for a fair shake. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, board trustees, Superintendent Mackey. Thank you so much for your service and time. I can't imagine what a difficult space it is for you to be here tonight. But I wanted to come and speak and be as transparent as possible. My name is Sujin Kim, and I'm the regional superintendent in Richmond. And I want to say that the allegations that were brought to you are unfounded and ungrounded, and it has completely destroyed our community, a community that has worked so tirelessly and hard in all of the areas in which the allegations are coming forth. And I also want to say that I am actually a product of Contra Costa. I grew up in Concord. I went to Silverwood Elementary, where I served as my the president in my elementary school. I went to Pine Hollow Middle School, and I also graduated from Plain Valley High School before I turned into Plain Valley Charter School. And for the past 16 years, I've spent my life dedicated to education and education reform and equity and social justice. And I am a proud member of this community, and I urge you that you will take the time to do your due diligence and due process and ensure that the allegations set forth, that you take the time to investigate it, because you're not only impacting personnel, but you're impacting 320 students, 30 teachers and staff members, as well as more than 600 families. And putting us in limbo is devastating for us, because we do not know what we're going to do if we do not have a clear action tonight. And so I ask you to be courageous and brave in this space, and to listen to the stories of people who are actually on the ground and who know programmatically what's happening, and that we are given the opportunity to have our voices heard in this matter, and that, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Silvia Flores, and I live in Richmond. I'm here asking that you do take action on this item. We want you to take action to extend our petition deadline so that you can review all the supporting documentations, and so that the staff has time to build a report and you can vote on that report. So if you don't take action tonight, what's going to happen is that we do have the ability to go to the state, but we would go up to the state in July. By that time, our chances of opening school up next school year, they're going to be slim to none. So by that time, we would have lost most of our teachers, because they do need jobs and they do need to be somewhere employed next year. So we're asking that you do take action tonight, because you have hundreds of families in your hands. You have our staff in your hands. And right now our students should be preparing for their upcoming exams. They should be preparing for midterms that are happening next week, and instead they're here. They're in shock, they're suffering because they don't know what's going to happen with their school, they don't know what's going to happen with their future. So I am asking that you take action tonight. Our district, there's no small schools in West Contra Costa. They have big traditional public schools, And as you know, one size, one model does not fit all. And our charter schools in West County, they're full. They wouldn't be able to accommodate the students that would be coming out of John Henry if you guys don't take action tonight. So I'm asking you to look at what we have to extend the petition timeline and take action tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brett Robbins. I'm the Dean of Instruction at John Henry High School. The families in front of you tonight and outside sought out and built a pathway to college and opportunity for their children in Richmond. A high school with a CAS proficiency rate of 68% did not exist in this community until they built it. A high school with the highest English language learner progress rate in the district at 53.6% did not exist in this community until they built it. And despite all of their hard work and their children's successes, they stand here tonight facing a grim outlook. Kennedy High School, infamous in this county for the decades of violent crime and poor academic outcomes that it has generated, or Greenwood Academy, our district's continuation school. This is what our parents are being told as they seek out transferring their student for security because of the unknowns that exist with our renewal. Can you imagine being one of the young men or women in front of you tonight, preparing for this shift in environment, for this shift in opportunity? Is this a fate that any of you would assign to your own children, to your friends or family, or is this exclusively for the children of others? Your staff report says that the 3 allegations submitted to you prevent you from voting on our petition. It says that you have a legal recourse to pass this on to the state. Given what you know about tonight's stakes for the students before you, are you convinced that you have a moral recourse to do so? You are the ones who will continue to hear the news from West Contra Costa District as it weathers a $50 million deficit and lays off 250 teachers. When receiving these sure-to-be bleak updates, will any of the faces before you come to mind? It is not too late to take action for our school and for our families, to weigh unsubstantiated allegations reasonably as unsubstantiated. If Clayton Valley and Concord receives this board's due diligence and a fair hearing, then these families from Richmond deserve that too. Our documentation is available. Our school doors are open. Please give us a just hearing.
Good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Edgar Quiroz. I'm a volunteer on the AMPS Board of Directors and have the privilege of serving just for the last 4 months as the board chair. And what a time to be providing some of the necessary leadership at the board level. I've been a resident of Contra Costa County now 25 years. I've had my 4 children as well as my 3 grandchildren all attend public school here in Contra Costa County. One of the allegations or concerns that was expressed at the last meeting was the issue of governance. And I'd just like everyone on the board now to know that I'm making, as a board chair, every effort to recruit as a diverse and committed board members to join, because we do believe in inclusion and diversity. And at every point moving forward, it's my committed effort to have the type of volunteers who put our children first. I also would like to acknowledge the goal and the idea of being objective. In my short time involved with charter schools, I have had a very poor experience with some of the school districts where I can call unfortunately bias in many, many regards, and I can't believe how at times I've seen staff at the school district put personal vendettas or personal axes to grind against the goodwill of the community and the children. So thank you very much, and I'm sure the board will make a sound decision, and hopefully, of course, in favor of renewing John Henry's application. Thank you.
Just for safety's sake, could we try not to keep touching the podium? It's making it easy.
Can I ask a question? The last 2 speakers, I don't believe their speaker cards were called. Is that, were they in that order? Okay, I missed them. Okay, thank you.
I mean, it was a different order, but exactly.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep track of who I'm listening to.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Lorena Cabrera
Good evening, my name is Lorena Cabrera,
y vengo a apoyar a nuestra escuela John Henry
and I come to support our school, John Henry,
para que pues que siga abierta para el futuro de nuestros niños. Los niños están bien estresados.
so that it can continue to remain open for the future of our children, because the children are very stressed.
Mi niña tiene 3 días que no duerme y dice, mamá, ¿qué va a pasar? Porque no nos están recibiendo. Ahorita todo está lleno y no es justo que los niños se queden sin educación. Toquémonos el corazón.
My daughter hasn't slept for 3 nights, and she says to me, Mom, what's going to happen? Because everywhere is full, they're not receiving us anywhere. And it's not fair that our children have to go without education.
Mi hija, ella tiene problemas con migraña. Tiene problemas con migraña y todo esto le está afectando a mi hija. Y no solo a mi hija, a muchos niños. Le pedimos de corazón que hagan más investigaciones, que no cierren la escuela, que la mantengan pues abierta para los niños, porque los que perjudican son los niños.
My daughter has a problem when she can't see sometimes, migraine. She gets migraines, and this affects not only my daughter, but also other children. And so I ask you to please do further investigations and don't close the school. Keeping it open will benefit the children, and closing it will be detrimental to the children, and they're the ones who have to pay.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much.
My name is Nicholas Baca. I'm the CEO of AMETHOD Public Schools. I previously responded to the Charter Committee's recommendation that you take no action on John Henry's appeal, and that by so doing, John Henry can then appeal directly to the state of California. That appeal would be meaningless. The appeal has to be filed by March 30th, but will not be heard until July 8th or 9th. John Henry's academic year ends on June 30th. By June 30th, with appeal pending, no student or teacher will remain at John Henry. By not taking action, you will have effectively closed the school and taken away school choice to hundreds of students. The Charter Committee made its recommendation because staff received an email alleging malfeasance by AMETHOD Public Schools. Staff stated it could not complete its investigations of these allegations prior to today's hearing, and quite likely not even by March 25th. John Henry previously agreed to extend the hearing date for its appeal to March 25th, and now it agrees to extend it to a date future where all the board members can be present. AMS is convinced that the allegations in the yet undisclosed email are without merit. John Henry previously entered into an MOU with the West Contra Costa Unified School District after a failed attempt to revoke its charter. John Henry complied with all of the requirements of the MOU, and on October 31st, 2018, the district issued a letter of good standing to John Henry. No school is perfect, but AMS has proven to have a record of self-correction against any issues that may be raised during any investigation. Should the investigation of the allegations in the email or in the AMS operation generally raise concerns, AMS is dedicated to working with the county to address and correct these concerns. By taking no action, you will effectively closing John Henry, a high-performing school, and also taking school's choice and a fulfilling future away from the children.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Liam DeLoe, and I am an educator at John Henry High School. And I live under the same affordability crisis that most people in this room are experiencing. As a public school teacher, but also holding a STEM degree, I know that I could go through many places. There are many lucrative opportunities out there for me. I also know that as a public school educator that if I stay and work 60 hours a week, if I go the extra mile to make sure not just my top students, but my students with my ELLs, my special ed students are supported, if I communicate weekly with parents, if I spend my Saturdays at robotics competitions, I get no extra compensation for that. But what I get paid in is A's and B's on my college level tests. I get paid in college acceptance letters. I get paid in the smiles and faces on my students. I get paid in changed lives. So I want you to know that as an educator, me and my colleagues, we're here. We've seen the suffering of our students every day. And we see you, and we're counting on you, and we demand that you, as leaders in our district, show that you deserve our trust by giving our students a fair chance. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. My name is Hurley. I'm a 10th grader at John Henry High School. See, I never thought that I would stand here. This school has done so much for me, from RCA until now. The school that we are fighting for, the school that you want to close down, I've improved so much from the school, as well as others. And I worked so hard to get my education on point. I feel like, as a student, John Henry can listen to what we need as students. Teachers give everything to us, their time, their knowledge, their kindness, and it just hurts me if they lose their jobs. I could tell you that this school took my heart, and I love John Henry. Every time I pass the halls, I see nothing but good. I always see in social media 2 students from traditional public high schools violently hitting each other. And with no disrespect, I don't want to go to these schools. Students that graduated and that are graduating have worked so hard to make this school amazing, and I won't let you throw it away. I'm a very optimistic person, and I hope that you can protect our school. Believe it. I feel so comfortable at this school, and you just want to take something that makes me feel safe. The worst part is that instead of making the situation better, you're making it worse for us as students. Now our classmates that I consider family have to transfer and are struggling to find schools. And just know that we don't have many options. So let us have our education. Please investigate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, the next 10 to come to the podium are Alondra Terencio, Pedro Rocha, Johanna Morales, Dulce Bernal, Araceli Magana, Glenda Luarca, Alexia Garcia, Kimberly Castro, Maria Barba, and Phoebe Bagui.
Hello, my name is Alondra Terencio, and I am a senior at John Henry High School. I'm here to talk about my experiences both at John Henry and my former high school, Kennedy. I went to Kennedy for my first 2 years, and I switched to John Henry after finishing my sophomore year. The environment at Kennedy wasn't exactly terrible. The teachers weren't that bad. The environment wasn't that bad. But when I compare it to the situation, the community at John Henry High School, I just have to say that John Henry High School has been so much better for me. It has helped me so much, and just it has a whole bunch of things that, in my opinion, Kennedy does not have. For example, in Kennedy, there are a lot of students that, if you were to talk about grades, the first thing that would come to mind at Kennedy would be nerd or something. But in this school, it's a common thing for us students to talk with each other about our grades and to help each other. I had my friends here very quickly. In fact, I met like 5 friends my first day here, and they were sure to always help me raise up my grades if they were bad. Make sure to help us and guarantee to us the opportunity to stay with them for at least an hour after school if we need any kind of help from them whatsoever. And it may not be school related, if it be something personal going at home, they're more than happy to help us with anything that we may need from them. This school promotes the idea of honor hard work, and if you ask any of the teachers, they themselves will say that they also follow by this saying as much as us students do. Similar to how you investigated allegations made against Clayton Valley High School, please take the time to investigate our school as well. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Pedro Rocha. Yo vengo a pedirles por favor que hagan una buena investigación para la escuela John Henry.
Good evening, my name is Pedro Rocha, and I come here to ask you to please do a thorough investigation for John Henry.
No lo tomen a la ligera, por favor, y tómense el tiempo para investigar. Y denle una renovación a la escuela.
Don't take it lightly, please take the time needed to investigate and renew the school.
Ya que yo he sabido que la escuela Richmond High tuvo varios problemas y si lo hubieran investigado bien a esa escuela Richmond High, yo pienso que estaría cerrada esa escuela.
And I know that Richmond High School has had many problems, and it should have been investigated. And if had that been the case, I think Richmond High School would have been closed.
So, lo último que les pido, por favor, investiguen bien y denle una oportunidad más a la John Henry High School.
And so the last thing I ask of you is please do a thorough investigation and give another chance to John Henry High School.
Gracias.
Thank you.
I was never good at writing, and at math I was bad. I might suggest typing, but it's all pretty sad. I have these wonderful assignments, which challenge my thought. I learned to discover alignments, but instead for school I fought. I just want to go home and not stand up here. I want to read about Rome, but instead I have here. What school would I go to? I have to ask myself. The options are few, so together we cry for help. I shouldn't be doing this. In fact, no one should. I'm stuck in a crisis, but if I have to fight for school, I would. I want to learn more in adequate class sizes, but I guess my wish is stored, as there will be no prizes. If to when I must, my knowledge I will trust. Why are you taking it away? Please, I want my school to stay. What is going on inside this wondrous mind is something you just have to give more time. You say we don't have power. Well then, all right. But we won't stop until we win this fight. You see, I want to save the school, but I can't do it alone. The school that doesn't have a pool, but a school that isn't a dome. The school that we all love, the school that is above all others. This one that you don't want. I'm sorry we popped up like gay stunt. The school that stands on like another font. So I'm sorry that I'm fighting. I'm sorry that I'm here. I'm not good at rhyming, so help me, oh dear. You see, I'd curse instead, but I'm sure you'd say, mind your language, please. But you don't mind my school, you want my education to freeze. But you handle this rule. You can give us time. Or you can make this not fine, not okay, not good at all. So actually, let me take that back. I'm not sorry that I'm here. I'm not sorry that I am here to fight. I'm sorry you don't have ears because you don't hear right. I attend here now at this moment, asking for just one more moment for me and my education. So please hear me out. Hear out my dedication.
Hello, my name is Dulce Bernal. I'm the mother of two children. My older son is 16 years. He attended 11th grade. He wanted to go to New York University. The grades are very good, but you close on our school is carrying his dream and carrying his challenges. You put him in a position where he have a lot of stress. And instead of that, he should be worried about studying and passing his education, not to worry about he's going to have a school next year. You also put in jeopardy my other son who is a special education needs. My little son will not survive in one of your traditional public schools. There are a lot of violence and not a lot of support from them. So I'm asking you to please do the full investigation, and by you deciding not to take action, that's deciding to do something. that deciding to close a school, and our kids, our teachers, our parents do not deserve that. I'm just wanted to asking you if this school will be in one of these surrounders in Orinda when somewhere else. Will you willing to close it? Because you think we're a poor community, you think that we don't deserve better? We are hard workers. I'm a single mom. I got 2 jobs. And I'm not ashamed of what I'm doing. I'm ashamed of what you guys do. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Sarah Stellan. I'm a mother of 3. I myself, I'm a dropout student from Richmond High. I got pregnant really young. And now seeing my daughter is stressing. And she's just so afraid to go to these schools. I see her and I look at my son and like, my daughter's worried about studies. I was worried about guys fighting in school. Seeing my daughter just breaks my heart thinking, what am I going to do if she goes to Richmond High or to other public schools? Please, just think about our kids. Think about our students. If they were your kids, what would you guys do? You guys will be worried too if you guys come and see our district schools. They're really scary. I was scared. I was a dropout. I never did nothing. I didn't finish high school. Now I'm here fighting for my daughter and for my other kids. Please, just touch your heart and think about our kids.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alexia. And everyone that knows me knows that I'm a very happy teenager. But lately I've been sad, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna cry. But why? Because this is my story. I come from Mexico, not knowing what to wait from this country. But the 3 years that I have been at John Henry High School, I hadn't felt nothing but secure and confident. And confident to speak a whole new language that I didn't even speak. Why? Because I didn't know this language. I was like, I went to John F. Kennedy, and everything that they will be doing, if I speak English, oh no, I'm sorry, but you're not speaking the correct English. And in this school, my principal, she was like, you know what, speak, have that confidence, and I'm so thankful to her. And not only her, but to the whole teachers, the staff. I wouldn't be the student that I'm right now. And I've been accepted to the university of my dream, the one that I have been since when I was like 5 years old. I was like, Mom, I want to go to this university. And it's not an easy university to go to, and it's Stony Brook, which is located in New York. And everyone knows that immigrants, they have low expectation. But for me, I'm like, wow, I'm the first generation to go to a university. And I'm fighting, not only for me, but for my classmates, that they're having these issues and not knowing. They need to be studying for their test, but no, we're right here standing, and we're not gonna stop fighting. Never. If this school shuts down, it's on your hands. And if a lot of opportunities get shut down, it's on your hands. Cause no, we're not gonna stop fighting. Cause we're not a school, we're a family. Thank you.
There's something with a flash or something on the camera, and it's shining right in my eyes, and I can't look at the students talking.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Castro. I'm a 10th grader at John Henry. It's been a really stressful and emotional week for many of us, and not being able to focus on my classes has been another thing. All that's going through my mind right now is what will happen next. There are so many students at John Henry that want to succeed in life and it would be cruel of most of you to take the opportunity away from us. We may be different than you and come from different backgrounds than you and we may come from different backgrounds, but many of us are here to graduate and make our families proud. John Henry has become a second family to me, and to see how much I've learned from this big community we have is amazing. We are a unity and are proud to stand here to fight for it. We have all worked so hard every day
to have the best education. Our teachers, staffs, and leaders are always looking and reaching out for us because they care and always want us to honor hard work. We are here to beg for your vote. A yes can change our entire future, for me and for all of us. If your denial to vote is affecting you for a reason, it affects the vast majority of families here tonight. We need you to vote because we don't know what will happen next and won't know where to go, but we'll also leave 320 students with not knowing how their future will be. And don't you think we've experienced and gone through a lot already, so please let us give our support.
Buenas tardes, jurado calificador, estudiantes presentes, señora directora.
Microphone.
Mi nombre es Glenda. Yo trabajo para John Henry y estoy maravillada, tan feliz de trabajar ahí, porque no hay bullying, cero problemas, cero drogas y cero bullying.
Good evening, deciding board, students who are present, director, principal. My name is Glenda, and I work for John Henry. And I'm so happy, I'm thrilled to work there because there's no bullying, there's zero problems, there's zero drugs, zero bullying.
Yo tengo 3 hijos y yo anduve de escuela en Richmond, California, y en todas las escuelas yo pasé lágrimas de sangre, de la cual a uno de mis hijos iban a matar. Yo recuerdo que mi hijo me decía, a mí me pegan mucho, mamá, y yo le decía, no aplique la violencia, porque la violencia genera más violencia y la humildad genera humildad.
I have 3 children, and we were going from school to school in Richmond, and at all of the schools, I was crying in blood because one of my children, they were going to kill them. And my son told me, they hit me a lot, and I said, don't use violence because violence breeds more violence, and humility generates more humility.
Yo tuve que dejar de trabajar por 6 meses por cuidar la vida de mi hijo, al grado que en una corte de Martínez yo gané el caso. A mi hijo le dieron homeschool por tanta violencia que hay en las escuelas. Y yo le doy 5 estrellas a John Henry porque no hay bullying.
I had to stop working for 6 months in order to protect the life of my son. And it got to the point where we went to the court in Martinez and I won the case and my son was awarded homeschool because of all of the violence that there was in the schools. And I give 5 stars to John Henry because there's no bullying.
Please, no cierren. John Henry, por favor. Muchos estudiantes dependen de John Henry, como mucho personal también. Se lo suplico, antes de tomar una decisión, estudien y no dejen que la maldad gane. Por favor, te lo suplico.
Please don't close John Henry. Please, there's many students that depend on John Henry and many staff as well. I'm begging you, before making a decision, please do your study. Don't let evil win.
Por el bullying que hay en todas las escuelas en Richmond, California, yo me vi forzada a vivir en mi propia casa con cámaras de seguridad por cubrir la vida de mi hijo. Y yo se lo suplico, no apaguen esa luz de los estudiantes, por favor.
Because of so much bullying in all of the schools in Richmond, California, I was forced to install security cameras and live in my home with security cameras in order to protect the life of my son. Please, I beg you, don't turn out that light of those students, please.
Que Dios les dé sabiduría para tomar una buena decisión. God bless you. Thank you.
Let God grant you the wisdom to take a appropriate decision. God bless you.
please line up. Philip Chong, Sam Eaton, June Valaveras, Avilia Villa, Peter Hanley, Myra Molina, Dan Walden, Francisco Cortez, Azucena Macias, Christopher Flores. Thank you.
Buenas noches, mesa directiva. Mi nombre es María Barba y soy madre de 2 estudiantes de las escuelas AMS. Me presento ante ustedes para pedir y exigir que extiendan el tiempo para que hagan las investigaciones apropiadas sobre las nuevas alegaciones. Yo no sé por qué se aferran contra nuestra escuela. Ya basta. Mi opción es llevar a mis hijas a John Henry, ya que mi experiencia ha sido buena porque me han demostrado que la educación de mis hijas es importante para ellas. Mis hijas están estresadas y no es justo. Yo siento que esto ya no es sobre los estudiantes, esto ya son venganza de adultos.
Good evening, Board of Directors. My name is Maria. I am the mother of 2 students from AMP schools. I stand before you to ask and demand that you extend the time to do the proper investigations into the new allegations. Why do they cling so much to our school? This needs to stop. My option is to take my daughters to John Henry High School since my experience has been good because they have shown me that the education of my daughters is important to them. My daughters are stressed and that's not fair. This is no longer about the students, this is about adult vengeance. Thank you.
Good evening, thank you. My name is BBBA, so bad, everyone gets it wrong.
Raise the microphone.
And I'm a teacher at John Henry High School. I have such deep gratitude towards those of you who visited our campus. Some of you even observed my very own classroom. Thank you for taking the time to understand the work we do. For those of you who have yet to visit, I hope you give yourself more time because we have a lot to show you. Cozy up to a book in the budding school library. Come explore our student garden, or perhaps channel inspiration by watching our nascent dance team. But please remember, a vote of no action erases the future of such programs. I have spent years attending these meetings and I have never spoken, partly because I'm not nearly as courageous as my students, but also because I do believe in our public education system. I ask you, what lesson are you teaching this group of young minority students tonight about expecting justice from the system? You're our county and we value your considered opinions. Please vote to put John Henry on the April agenda, giving yourselves enough time to review all evidence and arrive at a just decision. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I'm a resident of Richmond and I'm a math teacher at John Henry. We offer options to students. We serve a wide variety of students. My student who spoke to you, the one who does poetry instead of math, last semester I saw her sitting at my office and I asked her if she was going to make up the math test, which she missed. She said there's no point, I'll fail anyway. I opened up our gradebook system and showed her that she had a chance. I sat down with her and tutored her. She passed that semester. Her test that she just took yesterday, she got an A+ on. You tell me that we don't make a difference. We're a small school, we're not for everybody. But for those that work, it works very well. In a previous lifetime, I worked in facilities that had hazardous waste, and in environmental impact statements, we were taught that they always have to evaluate the no action alternative. And it was beaten into us to know that to take no action is to take action. So if it takes 6 more months to investigate thoroughly, take the 6 months. What's to prevent you from granting us an extension to the end of next year, do a thorough investigation, and have a complete hearing? Our students deserve no less. Do you know that tomorrow there will be grief counselors coming to our school? That's what you're doing to our students. Is that the legacy you want to leave them? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sam Eaton. I'm a Econ and AP US History teacher at John Henry. You just heard from some of my colleagues as well as some of my students. You'll be hearing from more of my students later on tonight. I want to obviously urge you to take action to extend this deadline, do a thorough investigation, as my colleague Mr. Sean just put it. I'd like to highlight also our positives, just as many of my colleagues have done. As you know, our academics stand above the rest of the district schools. I take great pride in that. I also take great pride in holding my students to high standards. A lot of my students are across the street working on an assignment for FDR right now. I appreciate that, but they shouldn't have to do that. I'm really proud of my students that they're getting into colleges. Many of my students are still trying to hear from the UCs, but many of my students, as you have heard, are going to college and they're going to be the first in their family to do so. As I said, I teach AP Advanced Placements, and I also help lead the senior project along with Ms. Garcia, you may hear from later on. All of our seniors go through a rigorous research project, write a 10-page paper, and do a grand symposium that you're all invited to on May 21st, and we are very proud of that as well. I'd also like to emphasize the safety at our school. I have barely ever seen a fight, barely ever seen any students that feel unsafe at our campus, and you have also heard that from many of our students here today. Lastly, I'd like to emphasize the emotions tonight. Last time, pretty much every single meeting, you hear emotional testimony from both teachers, staff, students, and parents, of course. There's a lot of history there, and I could discuss that history all night. I'm sure I could bore every single one of you with that history. But that emotion comes from care. We have a deep care and passion for our students, for our children, for the people that we see every single day. Again, as Ms. Miguel said, I would really urge you to come see that passion in our students, see that care and passion in our teachers and staff. We just want an equal opportunity for decent education here in Richmond. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, Board Trustees. My name is Joan, and I'm in 11th grade. I urge for the renewal of John Henry High School. I have been with AM since 6th grade, and throughout my time here I felt safe and I had the pleasure to have high quality education. Every staff member here cares for each student. They treat us with respect and they sacrifice valuable time to ensure that each student is fine. I met wonderful people, staff and peers inside John Henry. We created a family and a safe environment. Honestly, since 6th grade, I envisioned graduating with my class of 2021. Board of Trustees, I need you to renew our charter school so we can graduate with the class of 2021 together. I went to Grand Elementary, and in my sixth grade experience, I didn't learn anything that caused me to flunk. But RCA showed me that I could do better. Now, I'm taking AP classes. I'm taking Mr. Ian's class. And yeah, and I'm thankful for everything they've done. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Avelia Villa. I'm the founding principal of John Henry, and I'm very saddened to see that now we are here. I'm also the proud parent of a student who graduated from John Henry High School who attends Sacramento State University. I'm really angered and disturbed by the actions of how one email from one individual or individuals have such an impact. Who are these people? I ask you to have it in your heart to take the time to look into the allegations. Sending these kids to a district school would close their doors of opportunity. Would you send your son or daughter or family member to a high school that's producing 2% proficiency in math, or to a high school where students are physically attacked daily? Do the right thing and find it in your hearts to give the students a fair chance. And we will submit every document as we have. We've been submitting many documents to you, and I just ask that you extend take action to extend, and that we submit everything that you ask of. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Peter Hanley. I'm a longtime board member at AMETHOD Public Schools. I would like to thank Dr. Alleyne for coming and visiting John Henry, and I would really hope and encourage anyone who has not been there to really make an effort to come out before you vote on renewal. It's really a special place, and I hope you will be able to visit it. I think we've provided numerous documents that refute the district's main findings in their report. I think unfounded allegations should not be a basis for a denial of a renewal. You have multiple tools in your toolkit to address any kind of actual issues that arise. I don't believe there are any issues that are going to arise. We've worked extremely hard over a number of years to bring these schools, all three schools, to the families and the children of Richmond. And John Henry is, not a perfect school, as I've said before, but it's not a failing school, and it's going to continue to improve. And as the years go by, you're going to be very glad that you added John Henry to your portfolio of schools. Thank you.
My name is Francisco Cortez, and I'm a junior at John Henry High School. John Henry High has been an amazing school, and it would be an error for you to close it down. You come to John Henry to learn and to be prepared for college, not to start fights or skip classes, like in Richmond High or Kennedy. The percentage of students in Richmond High achieving proficiency in math is 9%, and students achieving proficiency in reading and language arts is 30%. Why would I want to go to a school where their average percentage is so low? Look around you. You see students and parents crying out here supporting our school. Why? Because we care about this school. We want what's right. We want our education. Put yourself in our spot for something you want. Fighting for something you know you deserve. That is right. Just think about that. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Mayra Molina y yo tengo una hija en la escuela John Henry. Ella este año sale de allí y yo estoy muy orgullosa de mi hija porque ella lleva muy buenas calificaciones en esta escuela y para mí es un orgullo que ella se vaya en junio. Va a ser la graduación de ella. Me siento muy orgullosa de esta escuela. Me siento segura que ella haya ido a esta escuela. Yo tengo un hijo que el próximo año él va a ir al 9 grado y yo quiero que él vaya a esta escuela. Quiero que ellos se gradúen de ahí.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mayra Molina, and I have a daughter who's a student at John Henry. And this year she's graduating from there, and I'm very proud because she has very good grades. I'm very proud that she goes to this school, and I'm proud that in June she will be graduating from this school. And I also feel very safe the fact that she attends this school. And I have a son, and next year he'll be in 9th grade.
Yo les quiero pedir, por favor, que se toquen el corazón. Hay muchos estudiantes, ellos están nerviosos y aún así ellos llevan buenas calificaciones en esta escuela. Por favor, piensen en ellos, en nosotros los padres, en esos futuros empresarios, profesionales. Por favor, se los pido, tóquense el corazón.
I want to ask you to touch your hearts because there's many students and they're very nervous, but even given that, they still are doing well and getting good grades. And I want you to think of all of the parents, all of the students, all of these future business people.
Es todo y muchas gracias, que su decisión sea buena para todos estos alumnos que van a la escuela John Henry. Muchas gracias.
That's all. Thank you very much, and I hope that your decision will be one that benefits all these students at John Henry. Thank you very much.
President Chavez and Superintendent Mackey and members of the board, members of the staff. I'm Dan Walden, resident of Walnut Creek, and I'm grateful to speak with you again about my support for John Henry High School's application for charter school reauthorization. I appreciate your role and your desire to research issues that you've been given, but you can act. I spoke briefly at the public hearing on February 12th and was shocked to hear the allegations of the West Contra Costa Unified School District against this remarkably successful program. The district's desired impact seemed to exemplify the title of Professor Alan Dershowitz's recent book, Guilt by Accusation. Could it be that the allegations were intended to drag out this process to the detriment of John Henry's program? I was so appreciative of the many John Henry students and their parents that spoke, praising the school and its leadership for giving them the opportunity and support to succeed in significantly greater numbers than similar students in surrounding high schools where they would otherwise have attended. I recommend and request that you approve John Henry High School's petition for charter school reauthorization as presented by AMETHOD Public Schools. AMPS is a quality organization led by individuals that care deeply about their school communities and about giving all children the opportunity to be the very best they can be in safe and caring environments. I know these individuals and I have been proud to work with them. They are fully committed to improving their governance and their operation, to ensuring that their culture of excellence, collaboration, and honoring hard work continues to support student success for all. Thank you.
Ms. Macias, can I call some more people? Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call the final 13 people to the podium. Robert Mlancada, Forrest Borey, Kim Averl, Natalie Garcia, Eric Becker, Felix Cabrera, Paul Minnie, Janelle Rulli, Richie Peregrine, Anselmo Ramirez, Ava Padilla, Angel Lopez, and Miguel Lopez. Thank you, Ms.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Azucena Macias, and I am a John Henry High School senior. And I have been in AMETHOD since the 6th grade. I appreciate all the opportunities John Henry has provided me with. The rest of the schools in my area do not live up to the expectations expected of John Henry. I have a nephew who I want to have the same opportunities that I was given. One of these was being provided with a high-class education in John Henry that he would not be able to have in public schools.
Can you lower the mic?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
This school has given me the opportunity to apply to 15 schools, and I have been accepted to 6 of them so far, including University of Oregon. I request that you can keep John Henry High open so younger generations have the same education and opportunities I have. Give us the extension. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Flores. I go to John Henry High School. I'm in 10th grade. Today, I got a question for you guys. La pregunta es, pónganse en nuestro lugar si sus hijos fueran a nuestra escuela.
Put yourself in our shoes if your kids were going to our school.
Las mamás, ustedes, ¿cómo se sintieran todos los días que sus hijos llegaran a la casa y preguntaran, mamá, ¿qué pasaría en mi escuela que si la cierran? ¿A cuál escuela fuera? ¿A la Richmond High o Kennedy?
How would you feel if your kids will come home every day and ask you, Mom, what is going to happen to our school? If they close it, where are we going to go? To Richmond High or Kennedy?
Esas dos escuelas para mí son como una prisión.
Those two schools are like a prison to me.
Yo soy un estudiante en John Henry High School. Estoy en el programa ELH.
I'm a student at John Henry High School and I'm on the ELA program.
Ese programa a mí me ha ayudado mucho y agradezco a todos los profesores y a todos los estudiantes porque me han dado una muy buena oportunidad en esa escuela.
I want to thank all the students and all the teachers because they have given me a very good opportunity at this school.
Por favor, no cierren nuestra escuela. Gracias.
Please don't close our school. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Robert Moncada. I'm an outreach counselor for AMETHOD Public Schools. I have about 33 years experience in student advocacy here in Oakland, Richmond, and Kern High School District. Your non-vote is literally a death sentence for our school, obviously. You've heard all the emotion of our parents, all the emotion of our students. What's going to happen is this. If we close, most of our students are going to have to find a place, obviously. What happens with those students is this. It takes about a year, a semester or about a year for them to get acclimated to the school which they're going to go to. Out of experience working in 18 schools in the Kern High School District, we know those grades are going to drop. We called West Contra Costa Unified School District and asked them if they had any plans for our students for transition. The answer was no. You get the school you get to if you can get into it because there's no room, so you can go to continuation. They worked endlessly with a lot of money to close us down, but didn't think about 300 individuals and their families. It's just not fair. African American students, Latino students, I'm not crying about it, but most of the time we get the butt end of things, and here it is again. Out of allegations, not facts, allegations of one person or two people. What about the 300 kids that allegate every day to their education and their families? This is a personal issue. It's tough for you, I understand. But there's going to be some serious casualties, ladies and gentlemen, from our students and our families. Because somebody wrote something that they allegated. Didn't have any proof, but I can accuse any one of you guys. Are you guys going to vote for that? Are you guys going to research yourselves? If I say this person is a pedophile, are you going to check it? Possibly not. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Contra Costa board members. My name is Eric Becker. I've worked for AMETHOD Public Schools as a teacher and as an administrator for over 12 years. I've also lived in West Contra Costa for 12 years, and I'm a parent of 3 children who attend West Contra Costa schools and a taxpayer. I urge you not to shut down John Henry High School because I think you know that's effectively what's going to happen. The sentiment to revoke the school comes from false accusations of a disgruntled former employee, a white man who does not come from the same community as the students and families who attend the school, a white man who has not even lived in the Bay Area very long, a man who suffered little from his unemployment save the blow to his ego. Are we not repeating injustice if we value one white man's complaints over the pleas of hundreds of disenfranchised families? I would ask this board to consider, of those who have argued to revoke John Henry's high school, I don't know how many have come to you, how many of them have children who attend Richmond High or Kennedy High or De Anza? John Henry serves a critical role in the Richmond community, namely to diversify the ranks of college-educated professionals in the Bay Area. John Henry was criticized at the last meeting for not being diverse enough. This is absurd. Everyone knows in Contra Costa, in West Contra Costa, the schools are not socioeconomically or racially diverse. We have the hills, we have the flatlands, and we have over the hill. If it wasn't that way, John Henry wouldn't be here. John Henry is here to help create equity, to help correct that inequity. Closing the school down would be incredibly unjust. I'll just say as a 12-year staff member, I've found nothing but dedication, hard work, honesty, and integrity from this organization. Thank you.
Hi everybody, thank you for your ears. My name is Forrest Sporey, I'm a humanities teacher. I was really hoping that somebody would come into my classroom so you could see what we do. I haven't got to have that opportunity yet, but you're all welcome, of course. We've really created an epicenter of culture in Richmond. I think you all know that we have an elementary school, a junior high, and then our high school. And it's working out really well. I remember last year when we went to visit UC Davis, who did we run into? Students from our elementary school. So personally, when I was in high school, I would have wanted to go to a big school. You know, that's the kind of person I am. But I know my students, and they're not just like me. I'm going to leave that. So the thing about this whole thing is I can't yet figure out like the real reasons. I'm totally curious. The real reasons for all of this. Like I don't believe everything that I've heard against us. I simply don't believe it. And so I wonder, is it because they want our students because we're such a great community? I have a question, and I'm wondering, and I really would, if you raise your hand, please. Did any of you ever go to a high school that you didn't want to? Anybody? I didn't either. But I think that's what we're setting this up for, right? So please handle our dreams with care. I think that, you know, I'm rooting for the public school system in Richmond, and I think when we build it, that you might see more come. I don't think students at a lot of the other schools want to wear uniforms every day. Some of our students don't. But they make that sacrifice because of our community and because of the opportunities we grant them. Please let us keep going. I really want to stay with the school and these students. They're great. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Kim Averly, and I am currently the site director at Richmond Charter Academy and Benito Juarez, both under AMETHOD Public Schools. I've been with this organization for 7 years, and I also want to reiterate the fact that this organization is full of people who work hard for students, dedicate their lives, make sacrifices to make sure that our students get what they deserve, which is a good education that will allow them to succeed in life. Throughout my 13 years in education, I've been a teacher and a school leader. I have found that education involves two things, the present and the future. As educators, we always ask ourselves two questions. Where are my students currently, both academically and in their well-being? And what steps do I need to take to improve their growth and improve their chances for success? Information and data out of a school provides insight on what to do to improve. The purpose of data in education is to make it better, not to punish. Our school wishes to improve, and our school wants to provide a better program and educational experience for our students. Data in education, allegations, should never be used to punish students. It should be used to teach our youth the importance of striving to be better and using information to correct or using information to improve. I ask that you think about why education is important and give us a chance to do the work to improve so that we can ensure the well-being and success of our students. Thanks.
Good evening, board, everyone present, and to the 400 plus families watching on YouTube live stream right now. My name is Natalie Garcia, and I'm the Dean of Instruction at John Henry and a Richmond resident. In May 2016, Dr. Trustee Alleyne, you said in your article on educationpost.org that social, emotional, and academic opportunities are denied when we don't have school choice. School choice allows you to find the school that's best fit for your child, not because of what other people think you should have access to. I really want to focus in on these wise words. What other people think you should have access to. Well, in Richmond, the other people making decisions for our parents and what they should have access to was West Contra Costa. And they decided to force our parents to send their kids to either Kennedy, De Anza, or Richmond High. All schools that John Henry outperforms, and in most cases, schools deemed unsafe for learning. There's no more space in the local charter schools because we've checked, and as of recent, parents are calling the district to inquire about options in their neighborhood for public schools and are being directed to choose between Kennedy High and Greenwood, a continuation school, because the other schools in West Contra, Costa are full. A facade of option is not educational justice for our parents and students. Now, tonight, the people making a decision as to what this community should have access to is you, the board, the Contra Costa Board of Education. With John Henry, parents have agency to decide what is best for their child enrichment. And in a city and society that doesn't give much agency to parents of color, why is it easier to shut our school down when it is actually making gains for our students? Just this year in an East Bay Times article, Mr. Mike Maxwell, you addressed Clayton Valley and said, "I'm in favor of school choice." Shortly after, Clayton Valley, who had to defend themselves against certain allegations, were granted their charter and now are able to afford parents another option for free public education schooling in the affluent Concord, Clayton area. Our school, John Henry, has never had any allegations that have come back in the negative after audits. Not taking action on our school and not granting us an extension is not affording our parents another route for their students' enrichment. I ask you, please, board, consider what is truly at stake here and do the moral thing. Give us an extension and vote to keep our school open. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Richard Peregrina, a junior at JHHS. Tonight will very well determine not your future, no, but ours. Most of these students I have been friends with since I arrived at Richmond Charter and have been looking forward to graduating high school alongside them, to take this difficult step into adulthood with longtime friends. But no, an anonymous person just so conveniently emailed you that we are committing tax fraud as our school is on the line and now you don't have enough time to investigate. Not only that, but your system of designated schools has failed. We would be separated into schools rumored to be dangerous and unsuccessful to send kids to college. When we contacted the district for other options, we were told of only 2 options. Kennedy, one of their worst district schools, or to drop out and to go to continuation school, which reflects badly on our college admissions. Please, at least give us the chance to prove ourselves once again than we already have. Please vote for the extension. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Paul Manning, Young Mini Reporter on behalf of AMETHOD Public Schools. So as the exchange you've seen in communication indicates, the county staff has taken the position that we can't extend mutually the timeline beyond 90 days. And I'm here to tell you that's simply not true, both in my experience and with the law. The applicable regulation states that if the county board fails to take action after 60 days or 90 days by mutual agreement, that the petitioners, here AMP, could appeal to the State Board of Education. It does not say that the County Board of Education can't take action on that petition past 90 days. Indeed, the applicable statute says that if the county board fails to take action on the petition within 120 days, then the petitioner can actually sue the school district. So this statute actually expressly recognizes that the County Board of Education can take action on a petition for renewal up to 120 days after receipt. In the court cases that interpret identical statutes over jurisdiction and appellate rights confirm what I'm saying. The cases indicate that the agency taking the action, or you, does not lose jurisdiction just because the timelines where the petitioner, your AMPs, can appeal your inaction. In other words, in this matter, the law allows the petitioner the additional right to appeal to the State Board of Education after 90 days or to sue the district after 120. But the petitioner has the choice after 90 days not to appeal and to ask the county board for further consideration in time by agreement with the county staff and the board. And obviously, any interpretation of the law that would limit the county board's ability to approve this charter would be inconsistent with the express provisions of law that you are to encourage the establishment and the approval of charters. AMPS has asked you to extend the timeline to the April 22nd meeting. It's only 4 days past the original timeline. Please accept their offer. That allows more than enough time to review. If you need more time, the charter petition can be approved conditionally so you can be sure that they're lawfully operating this charter after approval. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, County Board members, Superintendent Mackey. My name is Janelle Woodley. I'm an attorney also with the Law Offices of Young Mini and We're here tonight in strong support of John Henry and to urge the board to actually take action tonight, to really lean in and make a decision to make a decision. I think what you've heard from the students and families is that that's what they're asking for as well. A failure by the county board on this petition, a failure to take action on the county board on this petition, will almost certainly doom it to closure. A July state board meeting, which is what we would be looking at if we're appealing, a July state board meeting is too late in the school year for a school to keep its teachers and parents together. I think you could imagine the situation of waiting until July 7th or 8th to know whether or not your child has school or to know whether you have employment. AMS has already heard from parents, we've heard tonight, that they're leaving the program due to the instability caused by a non-renewal. They're looking into other options, and it's going to be really, really difficult to keep this community together. The failure to act, therefore, truly is a punitive action against the school. The punitive action denies John Henry and his parents and students all basic notions of due process and fairness. Tonight, the county board would be failing to act simply based on unsubstantiated and unverified complaints raised after the district action on renewal. Denying AMS the right to demonstrate the inaccuracy of these allegations is inconsistent with the approval process of charters, which really does indicate that the county board shall approve unless it can make written factual findings specific to support a basis for denial. Moreover, inaction violates the due process rights of notice and an opportunity to cure that are really at the heart of the Charter Schools Act. Accepting these allegations as justification to refuse to take action on the petition without an investigation into the veracity of the allegations and also given the opportunity to cure by the charter school violates those express provisions of the Charter Schools Act. Again, we ask you to lean in to take action tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eva Padilla, and although I am an employee of AMETHOD Public Schools, I am here as a parent of a second grader who attends Washington Elementary in Point Richmond, and a parent of a 20-year-old who attended that same school from kinder through 5th grade, and a charter school in Berkeley from 6th through 12th grade, and is now a sophomore at UC Davis. I am not saying that charter schools are a good fit for every student, just as district schools may not be the right fit for all either, but I think our kids should have a choice. I am here to ask that you please extend the charter petition to do a thorough investigation of the allegations. I am unsure of what experience you may have with closing a school, but I can tell you that unfortunately I do. The charter school my 20-year-old attended and I worked for from 2013 through 2019 was closed on June 21st, 2019. And I can tell you that it has left an emotional scar in not only myself and the staff, but also in the students who still contact me to see if there is a possibility that the school will open up again. We were a family and we were torn apart. Helping these students through the transfer process was saddening, and listening to Linda Delgado attempt to dissuade me from referring our students to John Henry when all I was trying to do was help our students was disappointing. What I'm trying to say is to please do a thorough investigation to find out if these allegations are founded. Don't let hearsay impact your decision that will affect the lives of all of our children. Thank you.
My name is Felix Cabrera, and I am the current Dean of Instruction at Oakland Charter High School, the sister school, the AMETHOD sister school to John Henry. I've worked as a history teacher and a teacher leader here for the last 5 years prior to this one. As a charter, our school lives and dies by data. A significant part of my job, both formally as a teacher, grading, and currently as a dean, is to analyze school data. And because it keeps baffling me, and because I think it never hurts to bring this up again, I would like to take a brief moment to remind you, or share with you for the first time, if you weren't aware of the data specifically related to John Henry already, that since its first CASP assessment in 2017, John Henry has outperformed the state of California in ELA scores, with 2019 yielding its highest results, with nearly 70% of students meeting or exceeding the ELA standard. In that same time, the county as a whole has woefully underperformed, barely scraping 15% of students meeting or exceeding the standard. The AMETHOD system has worked. The school has seen nothing but improvement since its inception, and the district is now trying to shut it down. Why? Why with this much success? Why? Maybe they're intimidated by what we're capable of.
evening. Good evening, board. My name is Anselmo Ramirez. I am from Richmond. I went to school in Richmond, and I've been involved in the community for a number of years now. And I've been following this this whole case, and it's been clear to me from the beginning, and it's even more clear now, how much these families depend on this school, and how much they value the education that they've been receiving at John Henry. And so, you know, it's not very easy to get so many parents and families involved in education, and for them to understand the value of it, and to get them out here today. I mean, and all of these board meetings that they've been attending, for me, it's inspiring, you know, to see the community engaged and involved and interested in what's going on, right? And obviously, shutting down the school is something that they should be interested in. And so, the parents have been vocal, the staff has been vocal, some members of the community have been vocal, and I'm sold. It's like, why is it not more clear to the board of the decision that should be made? Closing the school or not taking action today, essentially closing the school, would be a disservice to all the families here today. And if you weigh out the outcomes, shutting down the school, right, or taking a little bit more time that you may need to do your research, dig into what's going on, and see whether the allegations have any basis, please take a deeper look. Thank you.
Being close to a public high school with a bad reputation is frightening, and not being able to get the full education that I deserve is not fair. Luckily, there is another option that has my education as its first priority and has made every effort to have its students go to college. This has become a reality with John Henry High School. With each passing year, John Henry High School has been threatened to shut down, and each year I am afraid that one day I will not get the education that I and so many in this room rightfully deserve. Each year that John Henry High School gets threatened to shut down, I try to stop it by coming to these board meetings in favor of my school for a better education and a better future. Not just for me, but for my peers at John Henry High School. This school not only makes a promise to push all of its students to a good university, but actually does its best to fulfill that promise. I have been in the AMETHOD charter school system since 6th grade and have seen the difference between public and charter schools. And I have to say that the difference is night and day. Due to the amount of attention that each child receives from a teacher or tutor at John Henry High School. Having to go to a public school in an area that is impoverished and not in a good well is harmful to my education and my chances of being accepted into a good four-year university. Having another option apart from public school is crucial to my choices in life and in many other students' lives in this room. Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Miguel López y yo no nací aquí en Estados Unidos. En mi país siempre he vivido en pobreza y en ignorancia.
Good evening, my name is Miguel Lopez, and I wasn't born here in the U.S., and in my country I always lived in poverty and in ignorance.
Pero lo más peligroso para mí es la ignorancia.
But the most dangerous thing is ignorance.
Cuando llegué aquí, yo viví igual lo mismo. Me sorprendí porque en las escuelas había mucha violencia, en la Richmond High. Había violaciones y pandillerismo, no lo podía creer.
And when I arrived here, I saw the same thing. I was surprised because here in the schools, in Richmond High School, there were people being raped and there was gang activity, and I couldn't believe it.
Me sentí igual que estuviera en mi país, siendo que estoy en Estados Unidos.
I felt as if I was still in my country while I was here in the U.S.
Me encontré con la escuela de John Henry y superó mis expectativas, puesto que mi hijo ha agarrado una beca que ha ido a varios estados como Maryland, New Jersey y aquí mismo en California ha tomado cursos en esas universidades.
I found the school, John Henry, and it surpassed my expectations given that my son earned a scholarship and has visited Maryland, New Jersey, and here in California, and he's taken courses at universities in these states.
Tomó un curso en Bristol y aquí en Santa Cruz, en UC Santa Cruz. Es increíble. O sea, si mi hijo hubiera estado en la Richmond High, creo que hubiera sido pandillero.
He took a course at Briston and at Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, and that's incredible. I think if my son had been at Richmond High, he would be a gang member.
Por eso les pido que no le corten el futuro a estos estudiantes. Yo a cada estudiante siempre lo veo como una mente brillante.
That's why I ask you that don't cut off the future of these students. I always see every student as a brilliant mind.
Por eso les pido no le corten las alas a estos nuevos integrantes de la comunidad.
That's why I ask you don't cut the wings of these new members of our community.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any board discussion? Anyone? Anyone have anything? I'll start by Ms. Butler. Do you have anything, Tom, to say? I'm going to call you by name. Do you have any questions or?
Questions. So,
Do you have any comments, I guess?
comments.
Yes.
Comments. There's a lot to this. I guess I was sort of thinking maybe the staff was going to make some comments after this, but I would like just a little more clarification about the legal issues, which I think I brought up to the superintendent. Specifically, our role, maybe somebody could state it, what our role as a board is. This is different than reviewing a charter petition that's already one of our charters. We're reviewing a petition that was forwarded to us from a school district that denied it, in this case, West Contra Costa. And therefore, that's a different scenario than, you know, there's those two sections of law. So maybe we could get comment on that.
We do have an attachment with the agenda item, which is one of the code of regulations, which talks about the timelines and also addresses the extension. So I don't know, Terry, can you open that there? I've got a highlight down on D. So we've heard comments about the timeline, but this reading from the code regulations, within 60 days of a county board election, receipt a petition for renewal. If they don't grant or deny that the renewal of the charter school may submit a petition for approval to the State Board of Education. The County Board of Education may extend the due date by additional 30 days only upon written mutual agreement. So we did ask our attorney to look at this. This is the plain reading of the law, is that we have a 90-day period to address the renewal of the petition. We are also sensitive to the appeal that's available to the state and would not want to impair that in any way in terms of them getting up there and having an opportunity to be heard by the state board. So for these reasons, we assert that the 90-day period is the timeline in which we're operating with, and that getting outside of that would be something that's not expressly described within the law. Given that information, we have not just one complaint. We're preparing documents. Our 7-page request for information was extensive in terms of the complaints or the concerns. It's not one individual. So we have upwards of 25 documented records of complaints of various kinds that were directed to us by a number of individuals, both parents and former employees. And this would be in addition to the information that was submitted by the school district. I just want to say that that was like a significant number of complaints, so much so that it registered similar to what we've seen in the investigations that we've undertaken with other charter schools. It wasn't just a narrowly isolated kind of scope of concerns that were raised by people who have actively participated in the school. So in our professional judgment, it merited additional work in terms of evaluating. We've heard comments tonight about the importance of evaluating. Our concern is that we're not in a position to determine one way or another the accuracy of these complaints at this point. And it's going to take some work, some due diligence to do that. So this is the challenge, unfortunately, that we have in this particular unique situation, that there clearly isn't enough time for us to do the kind of work that we've done in the past when we face these kinds of complaints and issues and the seriousness of the complaints in terms of non-compliance with law and the other kinds of things that were outlined in our staff summary. So I know this puts you in a difficult situation. We want the process to be fair. We just don't feel that there's adequate time to provide the level of documentation that the board is accustomed to in terms of the review work that we do in submitting a finding of facts and making a determination about the petition.
Okay. May I ask just for clarification, and this includes the April date that was also proposed, correct? Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add to that. Thank you for explaining that, Mr. Clark. And to parents who referenced one or two people who made a complaint, I just wanted you to know that we also have the documentation from West Contra Costa. So it seems to me that it's not just one or two complaints. There's all the findings that West Contra Costa did and submitted to us, and we have a summary letter from their superintendent which states that they had issued letters of concern, letter of violation back in 2017 and 2018, and then continued to have a follow-up, what they call tolling and monitoring agreement, which then they stated the issues weren't all resolved, and that's why there's a summary of the list of why they turned down the renewal of the petition. So there is a lot there. It's not just one or two persons, and I, as a board member, would want to have the time to thoroughly evaluate all that, and I agree with our staff that we wouldn't have the time that we need.
Thank you. Dr. Alleyne, do you have a comment?
I'm going to allow the rest of the board members who are not present at our charter committee meeting to first speak.
Thank you.
I was at the charter committee meeting, so
right.
maybe we'd like to have
Mr. Maxwell.
I do have questions. So, first of all, is this? Did I hear comments and questions, or just comments?
Just do you have any comments, or what do you want to say? Any
Thank
questions?
you.
Do you have any questions?
I need some clarification on the deadline, on the timeline. So we have 90 days to approve this appeal. We have 90 days to approve this appeal, is what I just heard. And when did we receive it?
We received that, referring to the board item in the summary there.
And
I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Yeah.
When did the clock start? I guess I should say, when did the clock start ticking?
So I have an email that states to Pam Tyson by David Steffen, Dear Dr. Tyson, on January 17th of 2020.
Right, so I was going to refer the board to our write-up and introduction to the item here. Pierre, if you want to jump over to the item itself. Mike, this will give you a sort of
a clearer picture?
A look at that. This is a critical question here. So we registered receipt on January 17th.
The first sentence.
Right. Then, well, no, bear with me. Then we moved forward with a hearing on February 12th, trying to meet the 30-day requirement. Then if you, Mike, if you get that 60-day, then we have to March 17th. And then the petitioner did grant the extension, and I think that gets us out to 30 days from the 17th. Right?
Middle of April.
Early part of April.
Okay.
Well, that's, okay, so the extension, where is it, the wording about the extension? That's in the law.
Yeah.
What I believe that said was upon agreement between the county board and the petitioner, right? So we don't automatically have 90 days. If we want to agree to extend it to 90 days, we could make that decision. Is that what you're trying to clarify, Mike?
I want to know how much time we have, and so I would then refer to Ms. Terneski. Is it your understanding that we have, what's the absolute timeline?
Under the code and the regulations, the clock starts once a petition is received.
Okay.
My understanding, per Mr. Clark, is the petition was received January 17th, 2020. The clock starts, and then there's 30 days for a hearing to occur. The hearing occurred February 12th. From that point onward, there's a 30-day window for the board to take action on the petition. And that could be extended by an additional 30 days upon the written agreement of both parties, here the board and the petitioner.
Okay.
And that limit is set forth by the Code of Regulations section that's attached as an attachment accompanying this item, and that's section 11966.5 subdivision D.
Okay, thank you. So I'm also understanding that there are multiple complaints. I'd seen part of them in writing. I did notice that no one from West Contra Costa is here tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong. No one from West Contra Costa is here tonight, but multiple. That's okay that it's their meeting night. This is important. So I guess what I need to know is, and I am totally sympathetic. I think I've displayed that I am sympathetic to our staff's time, but it seems to me like the majority of the complaints are focused at the AMPS level and not the school level.
Yes.
And I.
Yes.
So let's get those guys. and so. The side of me that says, yes, I do believe, the young lady that said, do I believe in school choice? Yes, I do. But it seems like we need to take a look at that kind of stuff. And perhaps, with all due respect to the people from AMPS that are here, perhaps the problem rests there. And that, to me, I hate to see these kids be affected by mismanagement. I know that the it kills me. I know that the I lost my train of thought.
Keep going.
So with all due respect, Bill, is there time for us to look into that at all? And is it appropriate for a board member to suggest a very severe MOU towards the governing body? I mean, I hear the response from the parents, but you know, I'd be worried about sending my kids to a great school that's run by people I don't trust.
We have new leadership.
Okay. This is not question and answer. So, is that honest? Is there an opportunity for us to do this?
The staff is, at the pleasure of the board here in terms of you have delegated your oversight to us. We're responsive to your directive. We have received responses to some of the questions from the charter. We haven't really had time to consolidate that and see what's still open in terms of what needs to be addressed. there would be some follow-up that would be necessary on some of the charge-related items. My sense is that you probably are correct, that these do point to some governance and administrative issues with the charter, and perhaps not the performance of the charter itself. It's
Right.
just the school academic program.
Right.
So I think there's some substance to what you're saying there. There are still some time left on the clock, I guess you could say, in terms of work that could potentially be done.
I mean, it would seem to me like if we set some pretty strict guidelines to get to the point of where we could make a fair evaluation, and then be able to put pretty strict guidelines, oh, look at her, to be able to put pretty strict guidelines and lead them to the charter committee says, no, they can't do that. So
I'm not the charter committee,
oh,
so I just.
she's saying no.
I just want to say right now,
so hang on.
hang on.
So, no, we have until the middle of April.
If we give a 30-day extension, if you,
Okay,
that's
it's
a
my
separate
opinion.
question. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
okay.
right now, we have until the 17th of March.
Okay, that's fine. There's still time, and it would be my suggestion that we do give it an extension without completely burdening our staff. But, so charter committee, do you have any response to any of my?
I think I have some questions I need to have clarified before I could respond to that.
By me or by them?
By them.
Okay, so then let me finish. Thank you for that. So let me finish. And maybe I did finish. Maybe that is it. Yeah, I guess the last thing I'd like to say is I'm in favor of making sure what's done right for your kids, especially is what we do. However, it's a little offensive to me to be considered what my legacy is and demanding things of me. I didn't get your school to this point tonight. Okay, I didn't do that. None of us up here did. So I just hope that we can remember that we're not the ones that got you to this, and we're not the ones that said no first. So I want to make sure everybody's working in the same direction, and let's make sure our anger is focused. Well, let's get enough anger right now. Let's not have any anger. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay, yeah. I'd like to clarify with our attorney, first of all. You had mentioned that the clock started ticking again after the hearing. And so is it till April 12th or April 17th we have to make that final decision?
Just to clarify, here on behalf of the county superintendent, not I just wanted to be clear. So there's a 30-day window to have the hearing, and then a 30-day window after that to make your determination, consider what action you will take, and take that action, whatever it may be.
So I'd like to clarify that statement. Are you acting also as our attorney at this meeting, or just the superintendent?
She's acting for the county office and the superintendent, but your committee and the charter oversight is delegated to us, so she will answer all the questions that you need answered.
Just want to clarify that. So, is there any precedence to pushing it out further than the 30 days that we have, or past 60 days even? We accept their extension. Is there legal precedence for or against that?
I am not aware of any published case law where a court has ruled on that very narrow issue. The plain language of the regulations specifies 30 days. Typically, legislative interpretation looks at the plain language of the statute. Here it is clear and unambiguous. And in this situation, I defer to the plain language of the statute with a 30-day extension being permitted.
Thank you.
May I just ask for clarification? Is that 30 calendar days, 30 business days? Is it just because I know sometimes they just say days, but what does that truly mean? Is it calendar or business?
Here it does not specify business days, so the default would be calendar days.
Okay, thank you.
And Also, to clarify, so the 30 days past the petition hearing was the 12th, so the 30 days would be March 12th. Is that correct?
I just did a rough calculation. I'm thinking that the 90 days, if the board accepted the extension, would put you about April 15th, is my calculation. Mr. Lincoln? That's what
so
I
I think I think what we have to talk about is what could be done if we let you get an extension.
Okay, so if we came to the conclusion in April, as for staff, that we would not overturn the non-renewal, we would deny their appeal. Do we have any idea what the timeline would then be left for the school to appeal to the state?
That is a really important question in terms of getting on the calendar for the state board. Our understanding was that they needed to get that submitted to the state board by March 30th. I'm not sure if that's correct, so that they could get on the calendar for the July meeting. So that's another important consideration as far as protecting that appeal at the state level.
Okay, so they'd be pushed back further and would not have the July
It seems like they would, but I'm not actually clear about that.
Okay. One of the speakers mentioned something about an allegation of tax fraud. It surprised me, so, okay. Mr. Meany suggested a conditional approval while we push through the investigation on this. Is that something that's allowed? And if we were to do that and then found that some of the allegations that were important enough were found to be true, what then would happen?
I'll just take a first cut at that. My understanding is that a conditional approval would be for a minimum of 5 years, and there would be conditions. So it essentially would grant a charter. And then to Mr. Maxwell's point, there could be some MOU language around that, but I think that would essentially be like an approval of the renewal.
Okay. What if we found, though, that some of these allegations were significant enough that it led us to believe it was not a sound policy?
I believe that the MOU could be crafted in such a way that if there were these things, then there's language I'm familiar with that the MOU or the renewal could be conditioned upon certain events. So if these events took place, then it could lead to effectively as if the charter had not been renewed. That's my understanding of how that language should be written.
To clarify, there has been a different position taken on conditional approval versus approval with conditions, I believe, as Mr. Minnie is aware of, as he has made that statement before. It would not be a conditional approval. It would be an approval with certain conditions associated with it. So it would function as an approval of the petition, and presumably that would rest upon compliance with the requirements of Section 4607 for renewal petitions and all the underlying requirements from 47605, excluding signature requirements because it is a renewal petition. That would also be predicated on the regulatory requirement that a potential authorizer review the past performance of the finances, operations, and academics of the school, as well as, of course, the overall academic performance of the school, which is one of the requirements for renewal evaluation. But that proposal would function as an approval of the petition as submitted. Petitions on appeal must be the petition that was denied. The regulation specifies that. It does not permit material revisions to be made to petitions when they are on appeal.
My concern is also that, as Trustee Maxwell pointed out, that it sounds like some of these problems are at the level of AMPS. Is there any way to separate out some of these allegations that are being made, and whether they are just against AMPS or they are against John Henry, or are the two so intricately woven that you cannot determine one or the other? Because if I understand, the AMPS board is what directs each of these schools.
Each of the complaints deals with a specific set of circumstance. So some are clearly connected to the leadership in terms of HR policies and how those things were carried out. So there's a segment of complaints that would fall under what I've broadly described as governance and charter administration. And there were some other complaints that were specific to treatment of students and conditions at the John Henry School site.
Thank you. That's all I have right now.
I would like to ask the attorney, you just mentioned, you were describing the answer to Trustee Lewis's question, and you said predicated on the financial and all those past history of the petition. Were you saying that those things would have to be evaluated before we would come to a decision if we were going that route on whether to conditionally approve or approve with conditions? And I'm kind of wondering if we would have time to do that. Is that what you were saying? We would be, in other words, evaluating the petition just like we did, for example, with Clayton Valley, although it's slightly different because it isn't our own charter?
The contents of the or the considerations when evaluating a renewal petition are the same between a petition that was authorized directly by a charter authorizer, like a school district or a board, and one that is on appeal to a board. So the authorizer or potential authorizer needs to comply with Education Code 47607, look at the academic performance, but in addition to that, the Code of Regulations specifies reviewing other information, as well as 47605, which requires that all petitions, even on renewal, continue to comply with the original requirements, those elements that are required to be included. Apologies for the lengthy response, but in short, yes, the past performance is one of the considerations in evaluating a renewal petition, whether it is on appeal or directly to the authorizer.
Okay, thank you.
Remember, but just from the staff perspective, we take the same committee approach using the same rubric and the same basically approach that we would with any other petition. So staff is in motion on that.
And that's a thorough job, and at this point, I haven't been hearing that you have been working on that rubric. I'm not sure.
We have been.
You have
The
been.
committee
Okay.
is meeting and we've been working on the rubric.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say, I'm not sure, Trustee Maxwell, how thoroughly you read the petition, because I did see a lot of things myself, and the statement from Contra Costa. I did see a lot of concerns myself about John Henry, the teacher credentialing, for example, English learner program. There were a number of issues specifically about John Henry that concerned me, aside from AMETHOD or the governance. So I'm not sure whether you noticed that and you thoroughly looked at it. There's concern also. I sent in a list of questions to the superintendent to be, passed on to the our charter committee. So, and the safety plan, there were a number of things. I'm not sure whether you noticed that. I'm not sure whether, okay.
The teachers and the kids don't do that kind of supervision, though. That's the management that does that kind of supervision.
Okay, so.
So that's my point. Don't call me out.
I'm not interested in, rain on anyone's parade or whatever that term is. I'm just saying if we're evaluating this, we have to evaluate all these things, and teacher credentialing is pretty important, and the other things. So the question in my head is, if we were going to give an extension, how much can we get accomplished within 30 days extra? And additionally, if we were to grant approval conditionally, does the authorizing go back to Contra Costa, or would we then be the authorizer? Could we be clear about that?
county board would be the authorizer.
Okay, well, so then it's just that we want to make sure we understand what the situation is and that all these problems that West Contra Costa had discovered and issued notices about would be resolved or could be resolved even if we write up an MOU. So those are my thoughts.
Also, with AMS having 5 or 6 schools, wouldn't you think that they would have figured out to change some of the stuff before the first appeal? I mean, the first, what am I trying to say? I guess appeal of, why didn't they do all of this before?
Before the renewal.
Before the renewal, before they even went for the first renewal. They're a big corporation company. I mean, why, I'm stunned that if you're separating them from the teachers, sure, that's fine. But this company that's supposed to be running all the schools, they should have more credibility and be able to fix this stuff before appearing here, appearing in West Contra. And I mean, really, I'm a teacher. I support the teachers, but it's like you have to be run by someone that, I know they're aware that they could have changed some stuff, and it doesn't seem like they did. And the mass of complaints, and I don't know how they can figure it out in time. I really don't. And, I made a bunch of comments here. I'm not going to read them because I don't, it's just not fair. And that's basically what I think. It's just not enough time, and maybe, I don't know what we're going to do here, but that's my comment. You ready?
I just wanted to acknowledge that this is, no matter what the decision is tonight, it's a difficult one for everybody in the room, and we don't have children at the school. I have 3 school-age children, and I can only imagine what you're going through right now. And so I just wanted you to know that we're listening, we've heard you, and we're going to have to make a decision tonight either way, and I just hope that you would respect whatever decision that's made tonight, regardless of the outcome. I do have one question, and I'm not sure, maybe I need clarity on the difference between a conditional approval and an approval with conditions. Can you clarify? Because I mean, just moving forward for me, it would be fundamental for me to really understand the differences.
A conditional approval can be thought of as this will be approved if the following A, B, C, D are met. You can check those off. An approval with conditions means it is approved and we are attaching conditions with it. Within the Charter Schools Act, it is a regulated process for an approved petition to have a notice of violation issued or even to be revoked if there are ongoing violations. And I'm speaking in the general hypothetical. So an approval with conditions is important to understand that the approval has been issued and the remainder of the Charter Schools Act comes into play at that point.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion if you're ready. Have a motion?
I would move we extend for 30 days.
Second? Hearing no second? It's denied. Okay. Do I hear another motion? So, there's no,
We have to make a motion.
so we don't have a motion?
We do need to make a motion, right? Let's see. I would move that we take no action on this petition.
Is there a second? I'll second it. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye, aye. Should we do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Roll call vote? Ms. Butler?
Board President Vicky Chavez.
No action.
Board Vice President Annette Lewis.
No action.
Trustee Dr. Fatima Alleyne.
Is it a yes or a no?
I think it's supposed to be a yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. So yes.
Motion, maybe we should restate the
Okay.
motion.
Yes.
Motion was to
Is there a
take
motion
no-
and a second? There's a motion and a second to take no action.
The motion was set forth by Sarah Butler. It was seconded by Vicky Chavez. So here's the vote. Let's start. Okay, Board President Vicky Chavez, your vote.
Aye.
Board Vice President Annette Lewis.
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Fatima Alleyne.
Abstain.
Trustee Sarah Butler.
Yes.
Trustee Mike Maxwell.
No.
So the motion passes. Thank you. So should we take a 3-minute recess, everyone?